Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. If you can find your seats, I would like to begin in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to all of you at home for tuning in. We are happy you found a way to be present. My name is Rabah Mas. I'm the spiritual leader of Congregation Shaarey Zedek. And it's my great honor to be here and to be the one officiating the funeral services for Jerry Moscovitch of blessed memory. He was also known to the Jewish people by his Hebrew name, Yonah ben Moshe Vechienka, Zichrono Livracha. He was the son of Morris and Jenny Moscovitch of blessed memory, beloved husband of Gloria Moscovitch for 57 years, brother of Earl Moss of blessed memory, Betty Wall of blessed memory, and Walter Morris of blessed memory, the father of Susan Moscovitch and Dan Moscovitch, and also of David Moscovitch of blessed memory, father-in-law of Gustavo Leckman and Melanie Schell, grandfather of Daryl and Taylor Kilburn, Ezri, Laila, and Oscar Schell Moscovitch. Jerry passed away on Thursday, January 2nd, at the age of 84. And before we begin with the eulogies, we have a tradition in a Jewish funeral to begin with the recitation of the 23rd Psalm. I'm usually the one chanting the psalm at the beginning of the services. But this afternoon we have something very special. We have on the piano here in the sanctuary Johanna Gustav, who is going to play and sing for us the 23rd Psalm.
Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. God is my shepherd, so nothing shall I want. I rest in the meadows of faithfulness and love. I walk by the quiet waters of peace. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. righteousness and truth. My spirit shall sing the music of your name. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. Though I should wander the valley of death, I fear no evil, for you are at my side. Your rod and your staff, my comfort and my hope. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. You have set me a banquet of love in the face of hatred, crowning me with love beyond my power to hold. Surely your kindness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of my God forevermore. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life.
Thank you so much, Johanna. God bless. So we gather today with heavy hearts to honor and celebrate the remarkable life of Shaarey Moscovitch, Zichrono Livracha, blessed memory. Shaarey was a man of extraordinary talent, unshakable values, and a boundless love for his family, community, and faith. His life was a symphony, each note resonating with those fortunate enough to know him. The rabbis teach that a person is not remembered for what they have taken, but for what they have given. And Shaarey exemplified this wisdom in all aspects of his life, from his humble beginnings to his many achievements. Shaarey's life was defined by what he gave to others: his time, his wisdom, his music, and his love. Shaarey grew up on Pritchard Avenue in a very small home that lacked many of the comforts we take for granted. Even when his family moved to Aberdeen Avenue, their home was modest, with 2 bedrooms and 4 children. These early experiences shaped Shaarey profoundly. He never forgot his beginnings, and he always appreciated the blessings he later earned in life. Shaarey's gratitude for what he had became a guiding principle, one he passed on to his children. He reminded them to cherish every blessing and to never take anything for granted. Shaarey found his calling as a teacher, a true melamed, we say in Hebrew, one who enlightens others. At Churchill High, he guided students in science, math, and even volleyball, leading his team to the playoffs 3 years in a row. At Hugh John Macdonald, he not only taught science and math, but also used his musical talents to start a choir, bringing the joy of song to young lives. And at St. John's High School, he taught social studies and English, imparting wisdom far beyond the curriculum. His students didn't just learn, they grew under his care. Jerry's love for learning and teaching reflected the Talmudic wisdom. Much have I learned from my teachers, more from my friends, but most of all from my students. But Jerry was not only a teacher, he was also an artist, a performer, a soul who found his truest self in music. Music was Jerry's sanctuary and his expression of spirituality. He shined at the Manitoba Opera for many years, performing with such passion that his reputation of a scene stealer became legendary. One of the producers once told me that by the end of an aria, Jerry always managed to end up front and center, even if he didn't supposed to be there at all. In 2010, Jerry achieved one of the most satisfying moments in his musical career when he narrated Penderecki's 7th Symphony with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. Sharing the stage with the city's most accomplished musicians was a testament to his talent and dedication. Yet, Jerry was just as content to sing for the residents of assisted living centers during Hanukkah, lighting menorahs and lifting spirits with his voice. His love for music truly echoed the words of King David in the book of Psalms when he said, "I will sing to the Lord as long as I live. All my life I will sing praise to my God." Jerry's legendary tenure in the Shaarey choir was filled with unforgettable moments. Who can forget his rendition of El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim? But Jerry's love for music also came with a streak of creativity that sometimes tested the patience of those around him. Our choir master at the time, Yuri Klass, quickly realized that Jerry had a habit of altering the tempo of certain pieces. After several attempts to correct him, Yuri made a decision that reflected Jerry's indomitable spirit. He simply rewrote the arrangement to match Jerry's tempo. Yeah, I remember those days. This story is a testament not only to Jerry's personality, but also the joy he brought to those who shared the stage with him. Jerry also had a wonderful sense of humor, which he often displayed just at the right, or perhaps the wrong moment. I remember one high holidays, during the first of our 2 services, Rabbi Pinsker told a story about an Italian company who would blow glass bottles. So he asked the congregation, when the bottles didn't turn out, how would you call it? So he waited, nobody answered, and Rabbi Pinsker said, a fiasco. Well, during the second service, as the rabbi retold the story and asked the congregation what the flawed bottles were called, Jerry didn't miss a bit. With perfect timing, before the rabbi could continue, he loudly answered, a fiasco. The entire congregation burst into laughter, a moment that perfectly encapsulates Jerry's charm and ability to bring lightness to even the most serious occasions. Jerry's love for Judaism and music were deeply intertwined. Through music, he connected to his heritage and to the divine, whether singing in synagogue choirs, playing Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, or starring as Haman in Shaarey Zedek's Purim spiels. Jerry always brought the joy and vibrancy of Jewish life to those around him. After the heartbreaking loss of his son David, Jerry found even deeper comfort in synagogue life. In his later years at the Simkin Center, he beamed with pride each time he was honored with an aliyah to the Torah. But above all else, Jerry's greatest joy was his family. Summers in Gimli with Gloria and the loved ones, or cruises with friends were the moments he treasured most. Gloria also remembers the first time they met. At a singles group, Jerry stood out not because of a grand gesture, but because of his small, thoughtful kindness. He was the only man who offered to hang her coat. And when they danced, he serenaded her to every song. That night, she saw the true Jerry, a man of charm, warmth, and a heart full of song. The sages teach the righteous are called alive even in their death. This is true of Jerry, whose deeds, teachings, and love continue to live on in the lives of those he touched. His legacy is one of gratitude, passion, and devotion, a life that inspires us to embrace our blessings and to give of ourselves generously. Today, we bid farewell to Jerry Moscovitch, but we know his melody and his sense of humor will never fade. It will live on in the laughter he brought, the lessons he taught, and the love he shared. May Jerry's memory be a blessing. Yehi Zichrono Baruch. May his neshama have an aliyah in the Gan Eden, where he can sing and bring joy to the heavens. And may we honor his life by living with the same gratitude, humor, and love that he embodied. So to continue with the process of eulogizing Jerry, I would like to invite Jerry's daughter, Susan, to come to the microphone to eulogize her father.
I'm kind of regretting saying that I would say something today. Sorry, just give me a second. My dad meant the world to me. We spent a lot of time together when I was a child. After my parents bought Gimli, because my dad was a teacher, often I would go out with him to Gimli for the summer, and that's where a lot of my memories are of him. And he loved to swim. He enjoyed going for walks, and we would often just play games by the pool. We'd bring some board games and some cards, and we would sit there all afternoon. And then usually my mom and my brothers would join us on the weekends. And it was just a lot of cherished time. The one thing that I loved most about my dad is he was just so accepting of everybody. He always came from a place of kindness, and he always taught me. I can hear him in my head saying, Susie, always be kind. You don't know what that other person lived. You don't know where they're coming from in life, and you need to appreciate what you have and never do a prejudgment on somebody. And he always got upset with me. I was a lot as a kid. My dad was always someone who managed to be able to help support me, understand that I needed freedoms, and was always there to also put me in my place when needed. So I do really want to, I have a few things I want to do today, but I would really like to thank the Simpkins Center, where my dad spent his last year and I think about 5 months of his life. My dad did bless us with giving us that extra time, because when he had his stroke, not this past summer, but the summer before, I honestly didn't think he was going to make it out of the hospital. And you know what, he ended up getting a place in the Simkin. And from the moment my mom and I went there to meet with Aja, who's a social worker, we were just welcomed with open arms. It was just amazing. And she showed us the room, she explained what would be happening and what kind of care my dad would be getting, and it was just wonderful. And I would like to thank the Simpkins Center with all my heart, everybody who works there, from the head nurse, who was my support person. Her name was Jane. She always kind of like had my back when I needed someone to even the residents, like on my dad's ward, were amazing. Like they looked out for each other. I can't even speak enough. I actually went and personally thanked a couple of them for just being so kind to my dad and always, making sure that someone was looking out for him, even if my mom or one of us was not present at the time. But the care he got from the nurses to the aides, it was just phenomenal. And I can't thank them enough, because I know that job is not easy. Also through this, I do run a daycare center, and my school age program is out of a school called Gladstone. One of the teachers that used to work there, her name is Wendy, and she had come to me back when I first was opening the daycare there, and she's like, I know your dad. He was my teacher at Churchill. So I guess she saw the posting in the newspaper about my dad passing, and she reached out through Facebook. And then she said, Susan, you might want to go to this page. It is old students of your dad's who saw this post and are now commenting on him. And if it's okay, I would like to share one post, because I think it really speaks to who my dad is. Now, as a daughter, having a teacher as a parent was not fun times. You would think it would be great. He would help you. He would support you. No. He'd be like, go figure it out. Encyclopedias are upstairs. Also, it was not the time that we had Google, right? Everything was encyclopedias, and trust me, we had everything from A to Z. So my dad figured there's a library across the back lane, and you have encyclopedias upstairs. You can figure it out yourself. But I was reading this one, and I do apologize. There's a glare here, so I'm going to do the best I can to read this. From one of his students. All of them were so thankful. They're like, oh, I had Mr. Moscovitch as my science teacher. He was wonderful. He was my soccer coach. He was my guidance counselor. And honestly, for me to read that, it was very heartwarming. So this is from a student by the name of Charles. And he starts and says, please allow me this long-winded tribute, as from an early age, this lovely man made a great difference in my life. And for that I am forever grateful. I'd like to preface this by saying that I've never been academically inclined, and I'm certainly nobody's wordsmith. But my words, like my actions, come from a loving place, so I allow myself to move forward with them. Perfectly imperfect, off I bumble. Entering high school, I found there were but a select few teachers who stood out to me, those who stood above the fray, who took the time and who selflessly invested in us. For me, Mr. Moscovitch stood out at the summit. Coming from a particularly troubled home and dealing with yet my own undiagnosed ADHD, I was no stranger to the guidance office. I could be quite a handful, even to myself. Ultimately, that wee room offered me great refuge and a certain stability. In grade 8, I believe, together with a handful of other wayward ragamuffins, I had the great good pleasure of being invited to Mr. Moscovitch's home to spend the late afternoon. Now, my dad was a guidance counselor, so this is where he met this student. An experience I will never forget. I'm going to skip over some of this here. This is something that at the time was yet foreign to myself. Oh, sorry. He goes, aesthetics aside, because he had gone to his house, the true treasure was found there, lay in the harmony and love that permeated the entire property. Alongside our experience, a true sense of well-being and balance reigned throughout. Something that at the time was yet foreign to myself, and well, as I'm guessing, to other invited guests in attendance. All of it shared with us. With that came an overwhelming sense of warmth and belonging, and the possibilities I've not yet known. That for me was unique and life-changing. From that day forward, Mr. Jerry Moscovitch not only continued to help me navigate through the high school experience, but also through many challenges that were present in my life, ultimately proving to be a great and most welcome ally to me. His teachings and example that have allowed me to this day to navigate through a good many challenging and terribly interesting experiences with head held high and with a quiet confidence that has served me very well indeed. Mr. Moscovitch showed us that there was life beyond the Thunderdome. And yes, we did need another hero. And then he just says, my sincerest condolences. And a lot of the contributes go on, and that is one thing that I know my dad has instilled in me, is just to always come from a place of kindness. And the one thing that I did envy about my dad, and to this day I don't know how he did it, he was always happy. He was always had a smile on his face, and he was always just happy to be living and be a part of what he could be a part of. Everybody talks about him being in opera, and it's funny because my bedroom was on the second floor and my dad's office was in the basement, but our vents connected. And so, it's funny, like as a kid, like who wants to listen to opera when you're a kid, right? Like that's annoying. No one likes that music. And then it turned into a love of heavy metal for me because heavy metal was the only thing that actually covered up the sound of the opera. But then I found as I got older, I love the opera now. And anytime I was lucky enough to be able to take my dad to a show, just the two of us went before he ended up having a stroke and going into the Simkin. And those memories I will cherish forever, watching him up on the stage, just enjoying life, and literally he loved acting. He just loved it. And I don't like being the center of attention, but he just embraced it. And I love the fact too that my children also got that side of it, and they were able to go to the opera and also have an appreciation for it as well. And I thank my parents, I thank my dad for providing that to them, because not a lot of children get that anymore. So I just want to say, Dad, I will miss you. Oh, one last thing. I do need to say my daughter was unable to be here, but she is watching us through live stream. Taylor, she's in Australia right now for a wedding that she had to go to. But yeah, her and my dad just loved everybody. He loved all of his grandchildren. He loved anybody we brought into our world. And he was just accepting of everyone wholeheartedly. And I will miss him. And I thank all of you for taking the time to come here today. It just shows how many lives that he touched. And I am so appreciative of all of that. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, Susan. May his memory be a blessing. Amen. I'd like to invite everyone to rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametzei menucha nechona tachat kafeh השכינה ומעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים את נשמת יונה בן משה וחיינקה שהלך לעולמו בעבור שאנו מתפללים ועד הזכרת נשמתו בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו לכם בעל הרחמים. אסתירהו וסדר כנפיו לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמתו, אדוני ונחלתו, וינוח ושלום על משכבו ונאמר amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Shaarey Moscovitch, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we are going to proceed in a caravan fashion to the cemetery. I believe we are going to Bnei Abraham, right? Bnei Abraham Cemetery. You have to go all the way through Main Street. And if you are joining us to the cemetery, please remember to turn on your four-way flashers, and we are going to go there in caravan fashion. And please remember to stop at red lights and stop signs. Immediately after burial, we are going to return here to the Shaarey Zedek for the meal of consolation. And I would like to invite you all to participate of the Shiva visits. That is going to be a 200 tuxedo at the P1 lounge. Okay, 200 tuxedo, P1 lounge. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, starting at 7 p.m. And the evening service is going to be chanted every evening at 7:15 p.m. In lieu of flowers, donations on Shaarey's memory could be made to the Gloria and Shaarey Moscovitch Fund and the Jewish Foundation of Manitoba, or, of course, you can do it at the charity of your choice. Now we are ready to proceed to the next stage. So I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit the sanctuary now and to assume their places alongside the coffin. I will also invite the immediate family to exit now. As for the rest of us, I would like to ask you to wait a little bit until the pallbearers are ready and the family exits. So under normal circumstances, I will ask everyone to exit the building and to make 2 lines outside the building so the coffin can go through those 2 lines all the way to the hearse. But considering the temperature outside, you can either go straight to your transportation or to try to form 2 lines inside the building. That would be a wise thing to do this morning. So we can exit now. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, everyone at home, for tuning in.